I'm excited today to share with you how to make these cute dimensional shadow box cards using our Seasons Front Door die and our oak Christmas tree. They're both great standalone dies, but they also work together to create this fun scene. What I love about these is they fit right into a 6x6 envelope, and how fun for your recipient, not only to get a card, but be able to display a card like this. It just has so much personality. Look at that. Open that up. They can stand it on a little table. Okay, we're going to start by cutting the base of the shadow box. What you need is a standard 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We're going to cut that in half, short ways, so 5 at 5.5, and that's the height of the shadow box. So there you have the front and the back. Now you're going to want to trim those to 6 inches wide. Then you'll want to score each of those pieces at 4 1/4. Then you'll want to slide it another 1.5 inch, so 5 1/4, and then another half is 5 3/4 inch. That gives you a little 1/4 inch flap to glue. We'll do the same thing with the other piece, so 4 1/4. Then you'll move it over 1.5 inches, so 5 1/4 and a half, 5 3/4, and then you have a little 1/4 inch flap that you'll have. Now let's go ahead. Okay, the two dies we'll be using today are the Seasons Front Door and the Oak Christmas Tree die. So grab your Seasons Front Door die. Okay, what we want to do is we want to start with the door frame, which is this thicker piece. This cuts out a frame for the door, and this cuts out the actual door. So you'll want to center this between the top and bottom and this side. So you'll want to kind of fold that flap over, make sure it's centered, secure that with a little bit of tape, and then run that through your die cut machine. Okay, once you have that die cut, it will look something like this. The next step, you'll want to cut the pattern paper for the front of your card. Choose whichever pattern you love, and I've done mine just an 1/8 inch smaller around the edge than the front of the card. So that puts me at 4 1/8 and 5 3/8. And that gives you just a little bit of dimension around that front of the card. What I do to create this is I'll just go ahead and secure this in place. I'm going to go ahead and actually adhere this right to the front of my card, right over the window. Line that up so it's nice and square, like that. Okay, now you can't really see in the video probably very well, but you'll have a cutout here. Drop your door die back into that cutout. Make sure it fits nice and snug and doesn't move around. Secure that back down, and now run that through the die cut machine. What that does is it allows you to die cut in the exact same spot, and there you have your little door opening for your shadow box. Now the next step, you can set that aside, save those papers for something else. It'd be even cute to do a little plaid. Now the next step, you want to die cut the door frame. I'm using white. You could add another color, and I want some dimension, so I'm going to add some foam to the outer edge of that frame. Okay, with that foam on the little frame, just go ahead and center that over the door opening. And that gives it that little bit of extra dimension. Okay, using the door and the door panes, I die cut out of blush pink. I've die cut those little panes and the door. Now I want to mention in this video that you could actually use this and die cut through the door and stick a piece of acetate, and you would actually have a door that's a window. It'd be so beautiful and so cute, and I'm hoping to get another sample to show you how to do that soon. What makes this card fun is all the extra dimensions, so don't be afraid to add a little bit more foam to each of those panes. This just gives it a little extra depth. And then you're going to center that. I just eyeball it after I've cut it. If you want to use some cling wrap or something to make sure it goes down exactly how it was cut, you can do that. But these are pretty forgiving. You can just add them to the front of the door like this. Super cute. Starts giving all that dimension. Okay, next up, I have taken the little wreath piece and the greenery, and I have cut one of the green, and I've cut about 6 of each of the little greenery pieces. Now to assemble that, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue and some tweezers and start placing those in a circular direction. You can kind of alternate a little bit right and left as you go, just to give it a little bit of movement so it's not like perfectly symmetrical. I usually tuck under the leaf that I just did. Now this will look a little flat, don't worry, we'll fluff it at the end. And I'll show you how adding that extra greenery in there really helps give the extra dimension. Okay, there you have the base of your wreath. Now go ahead and just start adding in some of those other little greenery pieces, kind of alternating in between. Once those are dry and in place, go ahead and lift those leaves up a little bit. And there you have a little fluffy wreath for your front. Now I don't want the foam tape to show through, so I'm careful in the placement. Okay, next I have die cut the bow in a cranberry, which is the coordinating color in the paper. These little layers just add so much to the dimension of the bow, especially in person. So be sure to add those, you'll love the dimension that it gives. And if you wanted to shade these with a little bit of ink, it would give it even more depth. Okay, now go ahead, and again, using a little bit of foam tape, we're going to attach that to the front door. Okay, the die has a little doorknob. Go ahead and attach that to the door. And then it also has 2 little tiny rectangles. These are the hinges. They have a tiny score line, which will help when you assemble the door. So before you glue those down, they're tiny, just fold them in half, give them a crease inward so it makes a V, because that's the way the door will open. You just kind of want to give it a little help before you do that. So just fold those in half. That'll help you secure it. Now simply add some glue to one side of the fold. Okay, now glue that down to your door. Now go ahead and glue that down to your door like that. Same with the other one. Okay. Just place them where you think the hinges look good. It's really not going to matter. Now you just want to make sure this really dries before you move on to the next step. Okay, while that's drying, let's go ahead and add the little step to the front door right there at the base. Just giving it that extra dimension. It's amazing what just those little extra pieces can do for creating that whole look. Now that that's dry, go ahead and attach these using some glue. Now remember, this is slightly bigger than the opening. And what that does is that allows the front door to stay to the front and not fall through the opening. And that's why we created it just slightly bigger, so that it didn't push through the opening. And there you have the front of your shadow box. Next step, you'll want to grab your oak Christmas tree die, and we're going to die cut all the pieces in this to create that inside scene. You'll use the large tree and the little plaid green, and then I've used these tiny patterns on the tags to die cut those little presents. So it's another great way to use those little patterns. Okay, the next step, you're going to want to take the tree and die cut 3 of them. Then line those up on your scoring tool and just simply score, make sure they're straight, and just score down the middle. Go ahead and fold those in half on the score line. add a little bit of glue to the back of the score line. Stick it inside the second tree, let that dry, and then do that again on the back side and add it to the third tree. Now you'll want to let those dry for a minute before you do the next step of fluffing out the tree, because you just want to make sure those are good and secure. Okay, now that that's dry, go ahead and pull those edges to the center, separating different layers and just giving it that extra dimension when it's sitting inside the shadow box. You'll be surprised how much dimension that adds to that little tree. The next step is we actually want to decorate the tree. I'm going to show you a version of this where you can add a little bit of color to the ornaments. So I've die cut the ornament strip in white. Okay, next we're going to add a little color to those bulbs using cranberry, forest, fern, Dijon, and blush, and then our little blending brushes. So this is really just super fun and a cute way to add some color. I'm going to start with Dijon. Okay, there's a couple different ways you can finish this. You can simply add some glue to the string and then add some glitter and finish that way. Or, like I show you on this tree, all I've done is die cut it in our diamond glitter and then I've trimmed off the bulbs. And what you're left with is just the string, and you can glue that over the top of the other piece. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to the back of this. Now you're going to want to add some glue and secure that to the front of the tree. Okay, now you have your lit tree. Okay, to finish the inside of the card, you need a 1.5 by 4 3/4 and a 1 inch by 4 3/4 strip. And then you're just simply going to score a 1/4 inch on each end. Fold those edges inward, creating that shape. Those will attach to the sides of the shadow box. Again, on this piece, 1.5 inches, but score at a 1/4 inch from each end. That's one end. Fold those in. Okay, now we have all the components to assemble our card. So let's go ahead and fold the base of the shadow card. So you're creating a box, just like this. Then you're going to fold the door, the side, and then fold that little 1/4 inch flap over. And as you can see, these will just attach together. The easiest way to attach these is just with some 1/4 inch double-sided tape. This is easy tear tape. Love it. We sell this in the shop under tools and adhesives. Makes it really easy to assemble cards like this. Line that up. Then you'll add it to this end. Line up those edges. Okay, there you have the box. Okay, to add the inside of the box, take the 1.5 inch that's folded, add a little bit of glue to each of those folded edges. Then tip the box upside down, so from the base, and then think of this in thirds. So you're going to split this in thirds to the back side. Okay, so the farthest from the door, you'll want to add the 1.5 inch base. This is the taller base that will house the tree. Okay, again, let's take the 1 inch, add a little bit of glue. Slide that in. Now let that dry for just a second and we'll go ahead and add the presents in the tree to the inside. Okay, next step, you'll want to just simply add a little bit of foam tape to the bottom edge of that tree. Then you'll want to open the front door so you can really see the placement. Kind of hover, don't stick it down where the paper is yet. Hover over the top, make sure you like where it's at, and secure that in place. Then the little presents, start with the center one. I've again added a little bit of foam tape. Now to the front 1-inch edge, I'm going to add that middle one. I want it to go a little bit below the front door, the threshold. So just making sure they're just peeking out. And there you have the inside shadow box. Now you can go ahead and before you assemble this, you could stencil a pretty pattern. You could add some glitter, some sequins back there to give it a little bit more dimension. Or you can just keep it simple like that. To finish this off, I've stamped using our Seasons, feels like Christmas stamp set, using the little Seasons greetings. These were all sized to work really well with the door, the size of the door and the front of the card. Just so many varieties. You could put a giant Merry Christmas. You could even have the inside have a big Merry Christmas in there. I stamped this in the Dijon, layered it with some diamond glitter paper, added a little foam, and there you have the perfect little greeting for your front door, tying kind of all those colors together. The dimension and all the layers of these cards are really a gift in and of themselves. I hope that you enjoy making these for your friends and family for the holidays. I've enjoyed sharing these ideas with you. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.